Monday morning, the sound of metal crunching against concrete tore through the quiet street, and for the first time it wasn't my trash can lying in pieces, it was the HOA president's pristine Tesla. She stumbled out of her car, mascara perfect but shaking with rage, screaming that I had turned my can into a weapon. And as neighbors filmed her meltdown, I realized the war I never asked for had just gone public. Let me take you back. My name's Derek Cole, and I live in Harmony Creek, the kind of suburban neighborhood where lawns are cut to exactly 2.5 inches and the HOA covenants are thicker than a college textbook. I know the rules down to the line about how trash cans must sit exactly 36 inches from the curb. I follow them because that's the game here, but following the rules didn't save me from Karen Freeman. Karen, the HOA president. The queen of the cul-de-sac drove her shiny white Tesla like she owned not just the road, but the people on it. And for 4 Mondays in a row, she ran over my trash can. At first I thought it was an accident. I cleaned up the mess, shrugged it off. The second time I sent a polite email with photos. The HOA responded with a form letter that basically said I was the problem. The third time I bought a new can, placed it even farther from the road, she still crushed it. The fourth time, she rolled her window down and smiled that tight little smile that never reached her eyes. Curb appeal matters, Derek. Try putting the bin someplace prettier. That's when I knew. This wasn't an accident. It was a message, a weekly reminder of who was in charge. I vented to my buddy Alex, he's a lawyer, the type who breathes liability and precedent. Just record her, he said. Send her a demand letter. We'll sue for property damage. Clear-cut harassment. But that's not who I am. I don't fight with paperwork, I fight with physics. So I sat in my garage, surrounded by sawdust and tools, scrolling through the HOA bylaws until I found it the perfect loophole. They dictated size, color, placement, even the time the can had to be out, but nowhere did they say what it had to be made of. That's when the plan hit me. I would build a trash can that wasn't plastic at all, but 300 pounds of reinforced concrete dressed up to look exactly like the original. For 6 days, my garage became a workshop of petty revenge. I bent rebar into cages, poured concrete-smoothed surfaces, painted it forest green to match the HOA's specifications. I even scuffed it up, added fake scratches so it looked like just another flimsy bin. From the sidewalk, it was invisible. Up close, it was a fortress. I called it the Freeman Folly. By Monday morning, I was ready. At 6:59 a.m., I wheeled my masterpiece to the curb exactly 36 inches from the asphalt. My hands trembled not from the weight, but from the anticipation. I set up my camera in the window, poured coffee, and waited. When the Tesla rounded the corner, my heart pounded like a war drum. She didn't hesitate, didn't even glance. She drifted right, like always, straight into my decoy. And instead of plastic crunching, there was a sickening crack, the kind of sound you never forget. Her bumper crumpled. Her headlight shattered, the hood bent into a V. Her car stopped dead. My can didn't move an inch. She stumbled out, face twisted in fury. She kicked the can, yelped when her foot bounced off solid concrete, and then she started screaming. "This is a weapon. I'll have you arrested. You'll pay for this." Derek Cole. Meanwhile, neighbors poured out onto their porches, phones raised, filming every second. I just sipped my coffee and let the camera roll. 2 days later, the HOA hit back. A letter arrived, thick and official. According to them, my trash can was no longer a trash can. It was a defensive fortification. They fined me $3,000 for installing an unsanctioned hazardous device. A defensive fortification like I was building a medieval castle instead of protecting my garbage. That's when the doubt crept in. Sitting at my workbench with the letter in front of me, I wondered if I'd gone too far. Maybe Alex was right. Maybe I should have stuck to boring legal routes. Was I really going to risk more fines, maybe worse, just to prove a point? For a night I felt defeated. Small, like maybe Karen had finally broken me. But the next morning I looked at the can in my garage, solid and unyielding, and something inside me hardened too. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about standing up to a bully. If Karen could twist the rules to call a trash can a weapon, then I could twist them right back. So I did. Every violation notice she sent, I framed in gold trim and displayed on my lawn as an art exhibit the Harmony Creek Gallery of Grievances. Neighbors slowed their cars to laugh. Then I pressure-washed a mural into my driveway her white Tesla crumpled against my invincible green trash can. Perfectly clean, perfectly uniform, technically compliant. Petty, absolutely. But effective. Karen escalated again. A new letter this time claiming the HOA had the right to remove my can themselves. Monday, at 9 a.m., they'd be sending contractors. That weekend, I didn't just wait, I prepared. When the truck pulled up, two burly guys hopped out ready to haul away what they thought was plastic. They tugged, grunted, swore the can didn't budge. That's when I walked out chain in hand and locked myself to it. If they wanted my can, they'd have to take me too. Karen strutted across the street, heels clicking, fury radiating. "Remove it," she barked. But the contractors weren't stupid. Lady 1 said this isn't a court order. You want it gone. Get a judge's signature. We're not getting sued over your neighbor's trash can. That's when Karen dialed 911. She told the dispatcher I was threatening workers harboring a dangerous object. Minutes later, 2 officers showed up. She launched into a performance painting herself as the victim, me as the menace. And there I was chained to my trash can like some suburban protester knowing exactly how ridiculous it looked. The cops ordered me to unchain myself. I refused. "This is my property on my land. I'm protecting it from theft," I said. They gave me one more chance. I stayed put. So they cut the chain and cuffed me right there on my own lawn while Karen beamed with triumph. She thought she'd won. But she had no idea that Alex was still filming from the porch and that video me being arrested for protecting a trash can while she smirked blew up online. Within hours, it was everywhere. Local news, Reddit, TikTok, Twitter. The caption, "Man arrested for defending trash can against HOA Karen." By the next day, everything changed. Neighbors who'd been silent for years started filling their bins with bricks and sandbags. The trash can revolution, they called it. Mark from next door became the movement's cheerleader, knocking on doors, rallying signatures. By evening, we had enough to demand an emergency HOA meeting. Karen couldn't dodge it. That night, the clubhouse was packed wall to wall. Karen stood at the podium, crisp navy suit PowerPoint slides about property values. She tried to paint me as the problem, a dangerous rebel against community order. But then, one by one, neighbors stood up and told their stories. The man fined for a chartreuse garden hose. The mom cited for her kid's rainbow chalk drawing. The family warned over a basketball hoop. It snowballed into a tidal wave of resentment. Years of petty tyranny poured into the room. Karen's smile cracked. Her gavel rattled uselessly. She had lost control. When it was my turn, I didn't give a speech. I just said, this was never about a trash can. It was about respect. It was about rules that make sense and apply to everyone. We can have standards without a dictator. Mark stood bylaws in hand. I move for a vote of no confidence in Karen Freeman as president. Hands shot up dozens, then almost every single one. When the votes were counted, Karen was out. Just like that. Stripped of her crown, powerless, seething as she stormed out of the room. And that's where the story ends. Not with a party, not with a parade, just with Karen gone, her authority shattered, her reign of petty terror finished. Sometimes the only way to beat a bully is to be as solid as concrete, to stand your ground until they finally break against you.